Hello world, and we are back. My name's Kyle Fischl. This is going to be episode 47 of my poker vlog, and today I'm going to cover many sessions that occurred in the last game that I played. It's a 2-4 no limit game, and I have a bunch of hands to go over, so we're going to get right into it.
This is where the fun begins.
First interesting hand. It's folded to me in the cutoff, and I look down at pocket queens. Definitely going to raise that up. I make it $12 to go. Folds all the way to the big blind, who raises me to $36. You could 4-bet pocket queens, but I have not played too much with this player, so I don't really know how strong his 3-betting range is yet. So I'm going to proceed cautiously and just play in position. Well, the flop is 10-7 deuce 2 diamonds. That's actually a pretty good flop for me. I do have a diamond for backdoor flush draw, and there is no overcard to my queens. This opponent continued for $48. Now again, with an overpair, really not going to fold to just one bet. We call, and the turn card is the 5 of clubs, brings a second flush draw. This time my opponent checks to me. When he checks to me, I think that's very often he has a hand like ace 10 or maybe diamonds, where he was c-betting with like ace king of diamonds, didn't hit his flush, and is kind of pot controlling now. So I'm not going to let him get a free card, especially with a second flush draw on board. I bet $68. My opponent check raises to 160. Kind of an odd spot here. No real straight got there. I could see a check raise here with like 6-8 of diamonds where you gained some straight outs but still just want to take it down here. I'm not really sure what to perceive of this, but I decide that if I'm going to call here, there's never a river that I'm folding on, and when he only has $190 left, I decide to just stick it all in, take my overpair. I crush ace 10, hope that's what you got. So I jam all in, he calls, and he has pocket kings. Kind of a cooler spot, couldn't do much about it. We did not improve. We lose a little bit over $400 in that hand.
You have done that yourself.
Next interesting hand. It folds to a middle position player who raises to $12. I'm in the hijack with ace king of clubs. I make it $40. The big blind calls and the pre-flop raiser calls as well. So we're going 3 ways to a flop, which is king 9 deuce 2 spades. Big blind checks, middle position player checks, it's on to me. With the pot size somewhat big, and I have top pair, top kicker on kind of a dynamic draw heavy board, as spades could draw as well as any jack 10 queen, any of that stuff. I'm going to size up here and charge anyone that wants to draw. I bet $84. When I make this bet, I kind of tell myself that I'm never going to fold. I've committed myself to this hand, and whatever happens, I'm just going to let the chips fall where they may, as my two opponents don't have very big stacks at this point. A bigger sizing is what I choose because my goal is to get all the money in now or even on later streets, regardless of the run out. Middle position player calls. The turn is a 4 of spades. Pretty bad card. Very much unhappy with that. And my opponent leads out for $55. He doesn't have that much behind. I think it's very likely he could be blocker betting. He could have the naked ace of spades. Maybe a hand like ace queen with the ace of spades or ace jack ace of spades might continue with their backdoors on that board. Either way, I beat all their kings. I told myself I wasn't going to fold. I jam all in. My opponent takes about 15 seconds before he calls with ace 10 of spades.
Wait a minute. How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
Apparently not.
Kind of a long time to call it off with the nuts, so we lose another buy-in in that hand. Next interesting hand. Folded to me in the cutoff, I look down at king queen of spades. I make it $12. It folds to the big blind, who is quite a wild, active player. A new player sat down, and he will play any 2 cards from any position, plays fast, hard, big. So when he makes it $40, I give him nearly 0 credit for having a hand at all, and I choose just to call and take my hand in position against this wild opponent. The flop comes ace jack 10 1 spade. I flop the nuts. That's wonderful. My opponent leads out for $60. Very big bet. There's plenty of turn cards that I'm not gonna like. Any board pairing card or king or queen I'm gonna hate. So I want to get the money in now, especially against a player who I think will just get it in with me with any 2 cards. So I make it 144. He snap jams, and I call very quickly as I have the nuts, and he has king jack. So finally get some luck going my way. No more coolers.
You underestimate my power.
Just kidding. It runs out 10 jack and I lose. That one hurt a lot. That one was quite tilting as the 2% spiked me for a decent sized pot. So if this has ever happened to you, what I want you to do is take a second, pause the video, and hit that subscribe button.
You have only begun to discover your power. Join me.
Helps out the channel a ton. I would really appreciate it. These videos take some work, and you can show your support by subscribing. Thank you. Well, none of that stuff matters because I'm definitely gonna bring it back. If I can't just make hands, I guess I'm gonna have to bluff my way into some profit. So next interesting hand. Early position player makes it $16. There's 2 callers and I'm on the button with ace-3 of spades. As my only goal here is to flush over flush someone, I can probably make this call for when I make my flushes and bluff in position when weakness is shown to me. So I call and we go 4 ways to a flop, which comes jack 4 deuce 1 spade. Totally prepared to call a C bet here. It checks all the way to me and I think about bluffing at it, but I think this is a better spot to just take my equity, as I think there are some players that might have a weak jack and be willing to just check call, and I don't actually have a hand yet, but I have plenty of equity. I don't want to raise, get re-raised, and be bluffed off the strong hand that I have, so we're gonna check this one. The turn is the 10 of spades, so now we got flush draw, got a gut shot. We feel good about it. Well, the pre-flop aggressor bets $8. There's 1 caller, and the player in the hijack seat raises to $32. Now here's a spot where I'm gonna bluff, because theoretically I could have jack 10. I would play top pair with a marginal kicker, just checking to realize my equity. I could have pocket 10s, and I want to build a pot in case my flush or straight actually hits. So I raise to $82. It folds all the way to the hijack, who decides to call. Now with how bad I've been running, there's absolutely no way I can miss a combo draw.
We'll use the force.
And the river is a queen of diamonds.
That's not how the force works.
Definitely not what we're looking for. He checks to me. All right, he's checked to me. I only have ace high. He called an $80 bet on the turn. The only thing that I can think to do here is bluff him off a single jack or single 10.
Don't try it.
It's possible that he also had spades and it missed, so the bluff could theoretically work. Additionally, I could have ace king and ace queen, maybe even ace king and ace queen of spades sometime. So I incredibly rep much better hands than a single jack. I'm not going to show down ace high, so I bet $135 and my opponent snap folds. That one was quite fortunate for me. Next interesting hand. Under the gun +1 raises to $12. It folds all the way to me in the small blind, and I have ace king offsuit. Gonna 3-bet here, and a 3-bet could take the pot down right now. So I raise to $36. The big blind folds and the under the gun player calls. The flop is ace 9-3, 2 diamonds. So that's a pretty good board for me, especially since I have the ace of diamonds. And this is one of the times where I prove, and not just say, that I check with my top pair top kicker. I'm not quite worried about anything, and I think any hand like ace queen ace jack would definitely do the betting for me anyway. Additionally, I block one of the flush draws he could have. Even a hand like pocket jacks, pocket queens may fold to a bet here, whereas if I check, they might choose to take up the betting for me. So I check. My opponent bets $34. Down bets the pre-flop action slightly. Kind of interesting. Don't quite know what to make of it, but I'm never folding, so I call. The turn is the 5 of diamonds. I'm not really happy about that, as my top pair top kicker really gets demoted to a flush draw. A strong portion of his range could be flush draws. The down bet could be I have king queen of diamonds and I want to just build a pot in case the flush hits there. That's very reasonable. I'm now drawing to 4 to 5 outs if that's the case. I check. My opponent does not slow down. He bets $58. Well, nut flush draw, top pair top kicker. Pretty standard call, I'd say. So I call. The river is a 7. So I whiff. I honestly think about leading out as a blocker bet, but then I decide that any lead size I do here will look like exactly that. It'll look like a weak lead. I'm gonna get raised, probably raised jammed with the entire range of both value and bluffs he could have. So I choose to check, hoping that he doesn't choose a sizing too big, praying he just checks it down and I can win. Well, that does not happen. My opponent bets $235. Quite quite sizable.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
That's a pretty big bet. It might be the biggest bet size that I've seen at this table that's not a jam. This sizing is exactly what I described. It merges his value and his bluffs. He could have diamonds, he could have two pairs, maybe 9-7 where he just continued and got there. My thought process at this point was that I beat ace queen to ace jack, I block a diamond. I played it kind of passively for the goal of just check calling regardless of the run out, so I call, and he has jack 10 offsuit. The passive check on the flop when we flop top pair actually induces a triple barrel bluff that we make a strong portion of profit on, so that was pretty good. Final hand of note. I am in middle position. When folded to me, I raised to $12 with 8-9 of hearts. Only the button calls and everyone else folds. The button is a player who is definitely playing poker. He's playing position a lot of the time. He's playing situations. He's not necessarily relying on his exact 2-hole cards. So knowing that going in, I can already plan a strategy to kind of combat that. I never want to play passive against this player, as he will put me in a position that makes it tough to read his hand. Not happy that I'm out of position, he's on the button. We're going to see what the flop is. The flop is 10, 6, 4, 1 heart. Actually a pretty good board for me. A very easy c-bet board because backdoor flush, gut shot straight, definitely a board I'm going to continue with. Maybe my exact range doesn't connect with it for anything less than ace 10 or jack 10 or something of that nature, but it's definitely a board that I'm going to continue with my exact hand even though it doesn't smash my perceived range. So I bet $15. My opponent pretty quickly calls, really hoping a heart comes so I can continue in a meaningful way. Well, the turn is another 10. Kind of a horrible card at first sight, but at second glance, it's not that bad. First of all, it takes away several combinations of 10s my opponent can have. While, like I said, I could have ace 10 and jack 10 very easily here. When deciding how I would play both of those hands in this spot, I don't think I would ever double barrel when the board pairs like that, as I'm not afraid of any single card at this point hitting the river. I think I would check and hope to induce a bet out of him at this point. Now, on his end, if he bets half pot or more, I'm nearly certain he doesn't have a 10. My plan is, when I check, if he bets half pot or more, I'm gonna raise and bluff and probably win. But if he checks or bets less than that, I'm probably gonna fold and just let this hand go. Well, he half pots it, he bets $30. I'm very confident he does not have a 10 here, so I bluff raise to $68, thinking that I can credibly rep a 10 with this bet size, and my opponent snap folds. A fantastic outcome from that hand. Definitely a non-standard line. Definitely a spot that I think people underutilize. A bluff check raise can be extremely profitable in many situations. It only works if you've shown that you can check top pair, like I did before. I do have the ability to check medium strong hands, which gives me the ability to check raise if I had a monster. Now, some players, if they only bet when they have it and always check when they don't have it, they can't incorporate moves such as this into their game in a long-term strategy. I recommend mixing it up a bit when you're comfortable at the table, when you're comfortable with player types, and see what's happening. And if you're able to do that, you'll be more profitable in the long term. So in the second week of this new game, I profited an additional $426 from the last week. Game's going good, having fun with it. Still hope that we can get back to normalcy relatively soon. I miss playing at my normal casino, Orange City. Nothing we can do about that, just gotta wait and see. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, show your support, as I would greatly appreciate it, and there will be more to come next week. Thank you.